Hello and welcome to Body and Mind Uncensored. We're your hosts, Kelly
and Celise. Combining 26 years of nursing experience, we're dedicated to sharing our expertise in mental health and women's health with as many people as possible.
Welcome back to another episode. Today we are so excited to talk about all things self-care and everything in between. So Talise, do you want to kick us off with our first topic?
Hi, Kelly. So nice to be talking to you again. Hope you've had a good week. Did you have a good week?
It's been great. How about you?
Oh, it's been amazing. We've had such good weather. It's been pretty yucky up there, hasn't it?
It has. At the time of this recording, yes, it has.
I'm sorry. Hopefully things will get better. So we wanted to talk a little bit today about self-care and the importance of it. And this can be related to postpartum. It can be related to just depression or anxiety, or while you're pregnant, any part of your life. It's always important to take care of yourself. And so we wanted to talk about how others can help you and maybe things that could aid you in being your best self.
I think it's important to recognize too, self-care isn't just in certain times of your life. It should be a daily habit. And it is something that I struggle with. I know that you're really good at self-care, but I struggle with it daily. So I am really excited about this episode to see how you prioritize self-care.
So I've got to be honest, the first thing that came to my mind, because I like to make things light, sometimes when I shouldn't. And when you said that, like you're better at it, I wanted to say, I'm more selfish. And that is a stigma. And so I stopped myself and I was like, wait a minute. Self-care is not selfish, even though I was going to make light of it for that's why I do it more seriously, but it is not selfish.
I don't think it's selfish at all. I think it's important that you prioritize yourself because your mental health and your health should be a priority. And so I don't think it's selfish. I think it's a priority that people need to make, and I clearly need to do better at it.
Okay, so let's first dive into how can your loved ones support you best? What does that look like when you're struggling or just day to day? What looks best to you? Because we all have different love languages, right? And support languages, I think those go hand in hand. Like, what is yours? What is your support language, Kelly?
I think it's different for everybody. And I think it's really important to know what your partner also needs. Like if my husband comes home and he has had a bad day, he just wants to be left alone to decompress. And I'm kind of the same way. Like I just need some time to clear my brain and decompress, but in a different way. So I still want to be talked to. I still want to,
you want people to be engaging, like, hey, how was your day? Or you're saying you just want to come home, unpack your stuff, get everything situated, and then talk about it.
I like to have that on my way home if I'm driving home from work. Just, hey, how's everything? How was your day? That kind of thing. But after all of the talking, I do like to just kind of veg and clear my brain and not have to think, because I think really hard all day long.
Yeah.
And I'm on meetings and calls all day long, and I am very introverted. And so at the end of the day, I just want to come home and decompress and clear my brain because I have to be an extrovert all day at work.
Somebody, and I'm sure you were probably at the same meeting when I heard this or same training, but it always sticks out in my mind. Like the difference between introverted and extroverted is how you feel when you leave interaction with people or after you leave like a party or something. If you're an extrovert, you feel energized and it builds that up in you. And if you're an introvert, you feel exhausted and like, oh, that just took everything I had. And so that's what I always think about, not to be off on a random tangent, but because I guess
it's true.
It is true. And I think
it's true. I just want to go, like, I could literally go to sleep at 6 o'clock if you let me.
Jeremy could too.
Because my day is so busy and definitely not my introverted personality. And I think you're more of an extrovert, right?
Oh, I'm a huge extrovert. But here's what's funny is and maybe this is the huge difference between extrovert and introvert, is when you said that about going to bed at 6 o'clock, what came to my mind was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's the best part of the day. If we go to bed at 6 o'clock, that means our day's over and we have to wake up again. And I just wanted to keep going. Anyway.
Well, yes, that is true too. Like, I don't want my day to end
Yeah.
all of a sudden, but I'm just so exhausted.
Yeah.
I feel
You
like
could
I
go to
could
sleep.
sleep. Yeah, I could. I won't, but I feel like
Some days I do,
could.
but
Yes.
I could every day. So support for you would be just to come home, have somebody kind of ask about your day, how it went, and then just kind of veg out and leave it be. That's the support you
Yes.
want. What if it's a
Yep.
day at work that you had your feelings hurt or you weren't performing like you should, and it was not just an ordinary hard day, it was like an emotionally taxing, I feel bad about myself kind of day. What does support look
Then
like for that?
then I vent and I veg.
Then you vent and you veg. But what do you want the other
Same
person to
thing.
do? Just listen to you? Do you want them
Just
to hug you?
listen.
What if you're crying?
Yeah, no, yeah, just listen.
Just
Because
listen.
there's nothing that they can do to change it. There's nothing I can do to change if I have a bad day, but just be that listening ear for sure. How about you? What's your love language? How's your support?
Pretty similar. Same thing, I want to come home and just kind of vent to my partner, complain. I want them to agree with me. I don't want them to try and fix it at that time. It's just to hear me out and then
Because your
just be
boss
done.
is so horrible.
Surely is. Every day we have to decompress. He has to talk me down.
If you missed the first episode, I'm technically Talisa's
Yes.
work
That's
boss.
right.
So
should
that's
say
why I
that.
make that joke.
You're my home boss too. My work and my home boss. But then after that, yeah, I do. I just want to sit down and I just want to veg and shut my mind off and shut my thoughts off and hope that they stay off so that I can go to sleep eventually.
Yeah. That is the hard part for me too, is the shutting down my brain at night, because there are so many things during the day that I either don't get to or want to do that falling asleep has been really easy lately. It's the staying asleep. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I just can't turn off my brain. Do you have those same issues?
And if by the middle of the night you mean like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock, that's when mine hits me.
Yes.
Just enough to completely ruin the morning sleep. Yep.
Yeah. And then I don't know about you, but if I can't turn off my brain, it sits and like I hyper focus on it to the point where I get really angry that I can't go back to sleep. Do you have those same issues, or do you have a problem falling back to sleep after?
I do a lot, but I most often can fall back asleep, but usually it's been like an hour or two after.
Okay.
And
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No.
Maybe,
I'm sure we're
maybe
the
it's our job.
majority. I think we're the majority.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay,
mean?
good.
Like,
I'm
most
glad I'm not
people
alone.
Are like, I'm sure, waking up and their minds are reeling or can't fall asleep. Those poor people that just can't even fall asleep. That to me seems like it would be a harder, because you'd want it so bad.
I used to have a problem falling asleep, and I had to take medication. Luckily, I don't anymore. But yeah, I used to have a really hard time falling asleep. But now I just wake up all night.
Yeah.
Every night.
It's easier now that we don't have little kids. Let's talk about that for a minute. I was so
Yes.
hyper-focused on my sleep when I was a mom of little kids because it was so rare to have time to sleep. But that is still traumatizes me because you wake up and you think, oh my gosh, I've got to get back to sleep before the baby wakes up, or I've got to just sleep is so important to me and our mental health and body health, physical health.
When my daughter was little, I don't know about you, but anytime she would nap and I was home with her, I would also nap because I knew that sleep time could come and go. So I did really try to prioritize sleep during that time because nighttime sleep didn't really happen. So did you try to prioritize napping?
I should have. I didn't as best as I could have because I was so excited for some time that was quiet. And so I did. I probably spent more time cleaning the house than resting. And I paid for it. I paid for it through anxiety and just being kind of a wound too tight mother, right?
Well, and I might have paid for it because I spent more time napping than actually cleaning. And that caused me anxiety because then I would have to clean while my daughter was awake and I wanted to play with her. So
I know. It's just a constant blaming ourselves for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't ever do anything right, right?
Even if we'd done the opposite, we would have blamed ourselves. What do you consider taking care of yourself? We've talked a little bit about sleep. I mean, that right there is, I think, more than 50% of the battle is really a good night's rest or morning's rest, whatever you do.
Well, and for me, like I said, self-care is really hard. Like, I don't prioritize that in my life. I know that you go and get massages.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Is like, what?
I wish, going to get a massage would be amazing, or pedicure. I love getting pedicures. Just even spending time reading a book, or
meditating,
going for a drive, or going shopping, or things like that. That would be nice to do, and don't get to do it often.
Yeah. I really like to, like you mentioned, I do like to get a good massage. And that hasn't happened as much because I don't know anybody down here. So I'm not getting my daily massage. Not daily. Heavens. I would say monthly massage.
Every other day?
No. No way.
Sounds like you need a good referral to a massage therapist.
I do. If
down
anybody,
there.
Yep. In southern Utah. If anybody knows a good massage therapist. The best ones I've found are usually who work at chiropractor offices. I've really enjoyed those. So if I can't do that or haven't been able to do that, something that I've been doing for self-care is quiet time out in the sun on my patio. I mean, that is why I moved down here, was the sunshine and the warmer winters. And so I just go out and I look in my garden and I check on my flowers. And I know you do that, like you're a gardener. And do you find joy in that? Just going out and looking at things?
That is a good point. In the wintertime, I do not like to be cold. So I feel like my self-care definitely struggles more in the winter, which is probably when you should boost it because of the lack of vitamin D and all those things. But yes, in the summer, I am very active and spend a lot of time doing things for myself, like just going out and sitting by the pool or floating in the pool or going out to the garden or anything outdoors. I love doing, going on the boat. So for me, those are kind of my self-care things, is just getting away from work, getting away from the day-to-day and spending time with my husband or my family, whoever wants to be around. With the
Whoever
kids being
can be
older,
happy.
it's hard.
That's what we want.
Whoever's happy.
Whoever's happy can be with me.
Yes. I don't do well with negativity. So yes, if
my
there's
self-care is positive thing.
Yes, that is right. I try to live positive every day of my life. In fact, it's funny because my blood type is B positive. And so that's my motto, is just be positive.
Oh my gosh. And do you know what mine is?
What?
Be negative. Isn't that awesome?
That is awesome. But I really, when my kids were growing up, if they had a bad day or they just had a bad attitude about something, I would just try to find ways for them to be positive, because it's a mind shift, right? If you feel like you are negative or you're bringing negative energy to yourself, it's so easy to flip that switch if you start to think about something positive and really reflect on the good things or the positive things that have happened. It really does change your brain. So I've really tried to do that with myself and my kids. And there was a lot of time I had a lot of negativity in my life with other people. But after I said no more, I'm done with negativity, it's been a total mind shift for me.
That's amazing. That's good. It kind of can change, like, one thing in your day that if you were on a negative shift or a negative spiral, would have been something that would have probably propelled you further. But if you've got a positive mindset, you tend to look at it more in a positive light. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. It's half full or half empty.
You know, funny you should mention that, because my theory is that it's refillable.
It is refillable.
And so it's like, oh, it's getting a little low. Let's put more in it.
Well, and that goes back to the positivity, right? There's always more that you can put in to get out
the problem.
More.
It doesn't matter if it's half empty or half full. I can always add more.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a Talise.
Instead of just dumping it out and being done with it.
This is almost gone. We'll just dump it. So how do you, real quick, what do you do in the winter? I do want to hear what you do during those gloomy days for self-care if you can't go out and garden, because it's a struggle for me.
Read a book. I mean, if I can, I read. I actually started this winter, I thought I need a hobby because sitting here playing games on my phone or just watching TV and doing nothing is really boring and it doesn't do anything to stimulate my brain. So I taught myself how to crochet.
Oh my goodness. I love this.
My husband told me I'm an old lady now.
Yes.
But
I know, but what are
young
you?
people who crochet.
No, that I know men who crochet. Like,
Yeah.
it's just something to do with your hands. I think that's a stigma of crocheting,
Yeah.
that it's an old person and a woman thing. Let's remove
That's what
that
I
stigma.
told him. But he really likes the dish scrubbies that I've made for him.
Exactly. You talk about being an old woman or a grandma doing that. My 21-year-old, that's what she likes to do. Well, he games. She crochets. She's
My
got some
daughter
pretty-
tried to crochet. She doesn't do it very well, but yeah, she's picked up sewing this winter
my
and she
goodness.
really likes it. She's doing good with it. So just finding a hobby, finding
Mhm.
something that you can do to kind of,
break the
I don't know.
to get to like
The
break
monotony.
your mindset of
Yeah.
gloomy days, day in and day out of winter. Okay.
Yep.
So,
What do you do in the winter?
I really like to go for drives. And in the wintertime, I like to just kind of see maybe what the snow comparison is to other people. Just, oh my goodness, they've got a lot or they don't have. Just little things like that to get out. And I've found with myself,
Like while it's snowing?
No.
Okay.
After.
I don't leave the house if it's snowing.
I will leave the house. Yeah, I'm not
I hate
afraid.
it.
I grew up in Idaho
I'm
and
not
had
afraid.
family in Utah.
I mean, I'm not afraid of leaving while it's snowing, but I just don't like
Oh, you prefer
being out in
Gotcha.
the I don't like being in the weather.
I don't choose to. Like, oh, I think we'll go for a drive in the snow. No, but I'm not afraid to. And then I do like to go to a movie, like a movie theater. Yeah, I enjoy that a lot. So Tuesdays.
As long as it's a
Tuesdays
good
or
one. There
Tuesdays?
haven't been very
No, you're right.
Tuesdays are movie nights.
Tuesdays are movie nights. Yeah, really discounted,
Okay.
like $5. But I agree. I think movies have been really. I have my theory on that too. I think that it's possibly COVID really shut that down, and it was a great opportunity for like Hulu and Prime to make their own and to do their own thing. And so I feel like there's more streaming and not as much theater first. That's my theory.
All right.
So we've got safe place listed here. Let's talk about that. Like, do you have a safe place?
My home.
What if your home
If I'm
isn't
home,
safe?
that's my safety bubble.
Yeah, that's mine too. Do you have a place that you think like, oh my goodness, if I needed to leave my house immediately, where would you go to clear your mind?
Well, my other safe place is anywhere where there's water. So, like I said, when we take the boat out, I love going out and just being away and on the boat and just spending time on the lake in nature or just
Yeah.
kind of chilling. And
I
I wish I traveled more, but I don't.
guess when I think of a safe place, I think in my mind, if my husband's made me so mad that I want to like go cool off and do some self-care
Okay.
and some reflection, I like to kind of think, oh, this is really weird. But on normal days when we're just fine and we go see something and I'll be like, oh, this would be a really good place to come back to when we're fighting because he really didn't enjoy this and I wanted to spend more time here. So I kind of make a little list of he really hates Rainbow Gardens. Have you been to Rainbow Gardens in
I
Ogden?
haven't.
It's
No.
amazing and it's so fun.
Oh,
They've
wait,
got
is
an
that
emporium.
store?
Yes, they have like a
Yeah,
gift
okay.
emporium by the Ogden River.
Yep, I have been there once.
And I'm sure to most males, it's just it's horrible. But
It's like that old, they have an old pool there or something, right?
I don't know about a pool.
Is it like a boutique place and they
Mhm.
have, there's
There's a
pool.
restaurant. It's called The Greenery.
There is, but there's like an area, I don't remember what they had, but some kind of something in there, but it was an old empty pool.
Oh, so you're saying it
No?
used to be?
It used to be a pool.
It could.
I mean,
could
it
see
still is. It just doesn't have water in it.
No, I thought you were saying that there was a pool there currently somewhere. And I was like,
Oh,
I
no,
don't
no.
see it.
Yeah,
I can see
it's
how the
empty.
building would. I can see that. Yep.
Yeah.
That totally makes sense now. So somewhere like that, where I'm like, I could spend a lot more time here. He doesn't want to be here. I'll put this on my list of places for self-care that I know make me feel good, focus on me, my mind off of things. So
There's only one place that I feel like my husband never really liked, and that was Charming Charlie. Did you ever go there?
I love Charming Charlie's.
I
Yes.
loved Charming Charlie, and I was so sad when they closed it, but every girl's OCD dream in
matching
Charming
and
Charlie.
everything you could think of.
Yeah,
and
all the color coordination.
it was so
and,
good.
Yeah, my husband hated
That's
going
a good
there,
one.
but he doesn't. Yeah, there's not many places. If we got into a bad enough fight, I would just jump in the car and go for a drive.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
clear my head. And then I'd come home and I'd be fine.
You must
But
get over things faster than I do. 'Cause right, in a
maybe
tank
it's
of
that
gas.
positivity.
There's not a tank of gas big enough. Just go for a drive. I'm just kidding.
I mean, in a previous relationship, the farthest I went on a drive was I went to Bear Lake, and it was winter
Pretty far.
time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not like it was spring, but all I wanted was a raspberry shake.
Yes,
And
good place.
I got up there with my daughter, and everything was
Shakes was
closed, and
closed,
I
yes.
was so sad.
Did you
I
know
didn't
me
get my
then?
raspberry shake. I did not.
You
No,
could have texted
no.
me. That is
No, this is my
super
previous
sad.
relationship, and
But
yeah,
at least you
before I
got the
was a nurse,
drive. Like you were
I
probably
did get the drive.
cooled down by the time.
Oh yes, yeah, because
Yeah.
it's a couple of hours.
Yeah,
Plus, I mean,
exactly.
round trip, you're looking at like 4 or 5 hours,
Yep,
right?
yep.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that mad in this relationship, so
Impressed. I am impressed. Not that you aren't getting mad, just at the level of non-fighting. That's another topic for another day.
I
on
mean,
how
I'm not
people
saying we
fight.
don't fight.
Right,
We
no.
don't have.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about that.
we
Let's
have
write that down.
arguments, but yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I want to hear what's a normal fight to people. Like, some people might
Yeah,
think craziness is normal. Might be me.
yeah, and yeah. So I mean, go back to my history. So I'm on my third marriage. I'll be
Well,
honest.
yeah.
I'm on my third
Put it out
marriage.
there.
The first one, meh, I was young. The second one was kind of ugly, and we didn't fight well. And yeah, so I think I
Yeah.
learned a lot in that one. But there were other circumstances with my second marriage that caused fights, and
Mm-hmm.
so. But yeah, this one, I don't know. We're pretty good. We're pretty compatible. But it is normal to have disagreements and to.
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Everybody has
you're not ever-
their idea of normal and how they fight.
Yeah, you're
What's
not
learning there?
ever going to agree on everything, but you're not
Mhm.
always going to be perfect and never fight and never argue or never have a crossword or.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle the situation, I guess.
Exactly. It's how you either react or act.
Yeah.
Right.
A healthy relationship is when you can come back together and say, I was wrong, or I'm sorry, or you really hurt my feelings, or this happened. I can't say that about my past relationships. They
There was
weren't
no
always
room
healthy.
for
There-
to say how you felt. There wasn't a safe place for
Right.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'm on my second marriage. Definitely wasn't a safe space for me to be vulnerable and open and honest, or be myself for that matter. I wasn't myself during that marriage and did not do a lot of self-care. That was one thing that was really lacking. I was just solely focused on being the best wife and mother I could be, and really did let myself go. And I learned that from that divorce and through being single, that I can't hold other people accountable for myself not taking time for myself. Like, I would be bitter towards my husband, my first husband, that I didn't get to go out and hang out with my friends or do things that I thought were self-care. And really, you have to take responsibility for it. Nobody else is going to. People will help, right? And they'll suggest you do it. But until you actually want to for yourself or agree that that's what's needed, you can't. So that was a little bit
But
of a
I know that
tangent.
there are relationships where people don't feel like they can do that. And
That
it
was
doesn't.
my first marriage.
Yeah. But it's hard because it's like, how do you evaluate, is this a healthy relationship or not? And I think that that's a hard thing to talk about, and not to go there, not to say that this has happened to you in your past, but there are a lot of women out there who suffer from intimate partner violence, and men,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's not
Mhm.
just a woman thing. Any couple can have violence from an intimate partner, and it doesn't need to necessarily be physical. You can have mental violence. You can have,
Emotional abuse.
somebody who's
Yeah.
emotional. Yeah, somebody who's really controlling. So I think recognizing ways to talk about, is this a positive relationship? Is this a healthy relationship? And
Does your partner have your
are,
best interest in mind and your safety in
Yeah.
mind? Well,
yeah,
that's
and
a
do you
good
feel like you can
segue.
talk to them
That's a good
about
segue
that?
into friends, right? Because if you
Yeah.
are if you're not in a relationship and you rely on your friends, how important are good friends?
Yeah.
Somebody once said, I would rather have 1 dime than 10 pennies as far as friends go. All I would need is
Okay.
one good one, right? Because 10, they're both technically worth the same. But if you're having to go to 10 different people, what one could provide. So
I like that. I see that too, that you have to have friends that you feel like you can talk to. That one good friend. I hope everybody has one, at
that they
least
can
one
trust
good
and
friend who they can trust, they can go to with anything, and they won't
they're
be
ride or
judged.
die.
Yeah, I feel like I have friends in my life that I can talk to them, but can I talk to them about everything that's happening and they won't judge me? I can't say that about every friend that I have.
Well, and really, you could probably say that about Sean, right? Like, he's your one best friend. And that's what we're saying. Like,
Yeah.
he's your dime. And as long as everybody has a dime in their life, you can still have 10 pennies or 2 nickels. I'll be your nickel. It's fine. Sean can be your dime. I'll share it. But
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like that, you still do have a dime. And
and it's not just somebody that you feel like you can just vent to. It has to be reciprocated, right? So
they need to be able to be
honest
honest with you and call you out and say, no, you're being a little bit whatever.
Yeah. But also, you have to have that same trust from them on the flip side, that they can come to you and talk to you about anything and you won't judge them, or be honest. One other topic I think you wanted to touch on a little bit was a pediatrician or any provider that you're
Choosing
seeing,
a
right?
provider for self-care.
Yeah.
So all these things that we've talked about are important. We didn't really talk about diet. We all know that diet's important. That can be a complete episode on its own because we all have our opinions. It's like politics, right? Everybody has I wish there were that many candidates for president, but there are a lot of diets to choose from. It's so important to choose a provider or a pediatrician that you are on the same wavelength, that have the same morals, the same goals for your child. You don't want to just show up to a pediatrician's office and they believe in circumcision and you don't. Or you believe in non-vaccinating your children and they do. And you can still be seen and they will still value your opinion and they'll give you your autonomy to choose. But we all know that when you're on the same page with somebody that you vibe better, you get better care. You tend to have the same goals in mind.
And it helps to build a trusting relationship with the provider that you're seeing versus, I feel like they're judging me because I want to do it this way, or I want to raise my child that way, or yeah. I think it's really important to find somebody who you have common ground with. But how do you know? If you're a brand new mom out there and you're trying to choose a pediatrician for your child, how do you know? Like, what resources are out there to help you?
This is where you ask your dimes. You ask your dimes and you ask your nickels. Your mom, right? Like, anybody you can turn to. That's what I did, was just people down the street, whoever I saw, like, hey, while I was pregnant, who do you take your kids to? And everybody's willing to tell you and talk about it, the good and the bad. And thankfully, you can post it on social media now. What about you?
Yes. I see posts on Facebook all the time in my community. Who should I go to for this? And who should I go to for that? I think when you're pregnant, it's a really good conversation to also have with your OBGYN.
Yeah.
Because you start to have a really good, and we should maybe talk about that too. But when you're pregnant, your OBGYN gets to know you really well and very intimately, right? So asking them who they recommend is really good idea as well. Those providers that you're already seeing, who do you recommend for this? Or this is my stance on that. Who should I see that also has those same values? But at the same time, if you're needing to find an OBGYN or a primary care provider or Well, I guess those are the main two because they're going to refer you out. So if you're trying to find a primary care provider of any type, how do you know where to start? Is it, again, go to your friends, ask for recommendations, or are there things online that will tell you who's a good provider?
Yes. We both happen to know a lot about this, don't we?
Yeah, yes, we do. You can also call your insurance provider, your health plan, and say to an advocate or to a person who answers the phone when you're trying to find a provider, who should I see? And they have a whole list. Like if you need language services, I don't know, the sky's the limit. They have a list of providers and different things that they specialize in or that might be important to you as a patient.
Yes. So much to see online these days is so helpful.
Yeah.
In that regard.
And Google reviews.
Yep. Google
right?
reviews,
you can even go and Google a provider that you are interested in and see what other people have said on a review.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance sites also should have reviews available, patient experience reviews, so that you can see what other people are saying. If you don't fully trust Google, you can go and see what people have said on patient experience surveys through your insurance site as well.
A lot of great resources out there to help you choose the provider that has the same goals as you do.
One thing too, and I think we might have said this in a previous episode, but when we're thinking about taking care of ourselves and our day-to-day lives, it's just, again, important to remember today is a day. We're going to move on and have a different day tomorrow. Yesterday was a different day, and we're going to learn from past experiences. So just make sure that you're living in the moment, that you're taking one day at a time, and don't get super reflective or hyper focused on what's already happened in the past. If you want to change something, you want to make a difference in your life or somebody else's life, start. I mean, the time is now. It can happen to right now or it can happen tomorrow. Just make a plan and make sure that you are living one day at a time.
Deal.
Well, thank you again for another episode. We would love to hear what you are thinking about our podcast.
Topics that you would love to talk about.
Yes. Please take some time to leave comments where you're listening to us at. We are also on Instagram and Facebook. Those links are in our bios. So if you're not already following us, please go do that. Leave us some feedback. We want to hear what you are thinking about our podcast and ways that we can do better. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good day.
If you or someone you know has thoughts of hurting themselves or others, please text or call 988. They will direct you to someone in your community that can help. You can also call 911 in an emergency.
Remember, you never know what someone else is going through. Sending peace and love to all. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook.